Well, all right, now this is what we're talking about. This is the Street Demon carburetor, and as you can see, it's a totally new design. This carburetor has been designed from the ground up, all new stuff. And because it's a street carburetor, you're going to find stuff like this universal throttle linkage here. It's going to have an electric choke, and it's got a dual pattern here on the base plate. Now that's going to allow you to bolt it up either to a standard Holley flanged intake or even a spread bore intake like, you know, the factory installed on your car perhaps, or a lot of aftermarket intakes have that pattern as well. Now, as cool as all that other stuff is, here's what really makes it a good street carburetor. Now you're going to notice the primaries here, well, they only measure 1 3/8 inches. Now what that's going to do for you is give you great throttle response and good fuel economy. But look what happens when we open this thing all the way up. There we go. Now, this secondary here is called their Goggle Valve. It's a very unique design, and as you can see, it's actually missing the void that's usually here between the two throttle plates. And it's one big one here, and when you dump that thing open, man, it's going to introduce all kinds of air and fuel in there. It's going to give you a real kick in the pants. All right, now that's just a little bit of a look at what's on the outside of these things, but there's also a very unique version I want to show you here. Now this is also available. I want you to take a good close look at it. The main difference is the main body here is made from an aerospace composite. Now that's actually a high-tech polymer, and what that's going to do for you is it's going to help to keep the fuel inside of the bowl there up to 20 degrees cooler. Now that's especially important because, you know, today's fuels have 10 to 15% ethanol in them. And of course, by keeping the fuel cooler, that's going to help you get a lot denser fuel charge into the carburetor, make a little bit more power. Now I've taken one of these apart over here, and we've shown you what's on the outside. Let's take a look at what's on the inside. Now, I know that I just talked a minute ago about the main body here. This is the aluminum version of that polymer body. Now, this is a die-cast piece here, and the reason for that is it really allows you to control the casting process and ultimately allows you to do a whole lot less machining on the piece here. Now, one thing I want you to really take a good look at is there's two of these huge fuel reservoirs here. These are what might otherwise be referred to as the fuel bowls. Now, with that kind of capacity, this thing is going to feed a pretty healthy street engine. I read a report where this thing dynoed on a 425 horse engine, fed it adequately, so it shouldn't have any difficulty at all with my small block over there. It's a 355 cubic inch, about a 400 horse engine. Now, here's the base plate. Really cool stuff going on here. Here's another look at that Goggle Valve there. Man, that thing is really cool. As you can tell, it's got ported vacuum source here, a couple of direct vacuum sources here. It's got plenty of vacuum for just about anything that you're going to run on the street. Plus, here's a pretty unique deal. Demon really did us a service here. They put a little knurled knob right here on the curb idle adjustment, and that allows you to make those adjustments without the use of a screwdriver. Now, you are going to have to use a screwdriver, though, for these idle mixture screws up here, but hey, no big deal. They're right up front, easy to get to, easy to make those adjustments. Now, this is the first one that I ever took apart, and so I had just a little bit of trepidation about it, but you know what it took to take it apart? A Phillips screwdriver and a small needle nose pliers. Now, there are 8 screws. That's what you use the Phillips head screwdriver on, and this, there are a couple of little E-clips that are on the linkage there, and once you get them things off there, the whole thing is just real easy to disassemble. Now let's take a look at the top part of this carburetor here, see what really helps make it work. All right, well, let's flip this top over so we can get a better look at it. What you're going to notice here is it has a single 3/8 inch fuel inlet here, and it's got an integral fuel transfer tube. Now what that's going to do, there's a needle and seat on both sides here where the fuel comes in, and of course they're controlled by a pair of floats here. Now, we've got our secondary and our primary jets here, and up front here we've got the accelerator pump housing. Now, it transfers fuel through this little tube right here to the squirters that are visible from the top side. Now, here's what really makes this thing work, though. This is their triple stack boosters, and once we get a good look inside of there, you'll see that what this is going to do is really atomize the fuel really well. And that's, of course, is going to give you a whole lot better throttle response, drivability, and even make sure that because of that complete fuel atomization, you're going to even get improvements in fuel economy. Well, all right, that pretty much takes care of well, at least a simple overview of how that carburetor works, how it comes apart, all the major components of it. So it's about time for me to get back to work. We're about out of time for today, but I've got one more decision I need to make. Do I go with the pretty carburetor or do I go with the high-tech polymer carburetor? Tough decision, but I think I'm going to go with this just for the little bit of performance edge. I'm going to bolt it up. We'll see you back here in a couple of weeks. I'm going to give you a full driving report on it.